Today's objective is multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. The key term here is fraction. So you need to change your mixed numbers to fractions before you multiply or divide, which will be the next lesson. All right, here are the steps you're going to follow, and all of this should be review. All right, number one, this may be the only thing that's different because we're doing more with signed numbers, rational numbers. Determine the sign of the answer and write equals negative if your answer is going to be negative, so you don't forget it and get it marked wrong because you forgot the negative. Number two, change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. Number three, simplify. Divide out any common factors in any numerator-denominator pair. Now this can be diagonally or it can just be one and up above each other. But one number has to be in the numerator and one number has to be in the denominator. Then multiply straight across your numerators and your denominators. Finally, if they started as mixed numbers, change back to mixed numbers if necessary, or simplify any more if necessary if you forgot something. But I do not want you multiplying before you simplify. You need to simplify first. So let's do some examples. All right, 7/10 times negative 4 21sts. So I rewrote the problem so you can see that I wrote equals negative because one negative is going to make my problem a negative. Now I see if I can simplify anything. I say, oh, and then in the problem, I just ignore the negative now because I've already written it out in my answer. I see 4 and 10 have a common factor of 2. So I'm going to cross out the 4 and the 10. And I just do it in one line to show that they go together. 2 goes into 4 twice. And remember, I'm not worrying about the negative anymore. 2 goes into 10 5 times. And now I also see 7 and 21 have a common factor of 7. 7 goes into itself once, and 7 goes into 21 3 times. Now I check there's nothing else I can simplify, so I multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 3 is 15. There's my answer, negative 2/15. Let's do another one. These were both fractions. Now I have one is a mixed number and one is a whole number. So I look, it's positive, so I don't have to worry about any negatives. Both are positives. Change my mixed number to improper fractions, multiply the denominator by the whole number, add the numerator. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7/3. Make any whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. Now, can I simplify anything? Yes, I can. Of course. 3 goes into 27. 3 goes into itself once, and 3 goes into 27 9 times. That's all I can simplify because I can't do anything with the 7 and the 1, and now my denominators are both 1s. So I just multiply straight across. 7 times 9 is 63. And I'm not going to write 63 over 1 because then I would just have to write equals 63 again. So that seems about right because 2 times 25 would be 50, and that's just a little bit more. All right, here's another problem where they're both mixed numbers. So I look at my problem, I see there's one negative, I say my answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to change these to improper fractions and write equals negative before I simplify anything. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11/4. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16/5. Can I simplify anything? And I wrote the negative here, and I wrote equals negative. Now I'm going to ignore this negative. Yes. 16 and 4 have a common factor of 4. 4 goes into itself once. 4 goes into 16 4 times. And I can't reduce the 4 and the 5 or the 11 and the 5, so I just multiply now. 11 times 4 is 44. And 1 times 5 is 5. My writing is so much messier when I sit like this. And now since these were mixed numbers, I need to change them back, the answer back to a mixed number in my final answer. So I'm going to say equals negative. 5 goes into 40 8 times, and there's 4 left over. Okay, sorry that kind of squished under this one. All right, here's another example. 4 and 1/8 times 5 and 1/3. Now these both are positive, so I don't have to worry about the negative. I rewrote it as improper fractions, 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33/8. And 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16/3. Look, we can cancel both this time. All right, I'm going to divide 8 out of the 8 and the 16. 8 goes into itself once, into 16 twice. And I'm going to divide 3 out of the 3 and 33. 3 goes into itself once, it goes into 33 11 times. And now multiply straight across. 11 times 2 is 22. And the denominators are both 1s, so I'm done with that. All right, 3 more problems. Oh boy, variables. I knew you were wondering if there were going to be variables. So notice in these problems, the variables are just in the numerator. So we're not going to do any simplifying with the variables, but you know how to do that, so you could, huh? All right, these are both regular fractions, so I can simplify the number pieces. So I can say 5 and 10 have a common factor of 5. 5 goes into itself once, and it goes into 10 twice. 21 and 3, this line isn't going to go as nice, have a common factor of 3. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 3 goes into itself once. So now my numerator is 1y squared times 2y to the 4th. So 1 times 2 is 2, and y squared times y to the 4th, what do we do with those exponents? There's 2 here, and there's 4 here. How many altogether? 6. So remember, in multiplying, you add the exponents. So 2y to the 6th, and now my denominator is 1 times 7 over 7. If you get an improper fraction with a variable in the numerator, you cannot make that into a mixed number. I don't think that this turns into one, so we'll do one in our example in class. All right, let's look at this problem. Negative times negative is positive. So I'm just going to write the equals. That tells me that I've looked in to see what the sign is. And let's simplify again. 7 and 21 have a common factor of 7. 7 goes into 21 3 times. It goes into itself once. 4 and 16 also have a common factor of 4. 4 goes into itself once, and it goes into 16 4 times. Now my numerator is 1x squared times 1x to the 5th over 3 times 4. So x squared times x to the 5th, x to the 7th, and 3 times 4 is 12. And you don't need the 1 in front of the x to the 7th. All right, final problem where we have addition and multiplication. Now this problem is a tiny bit tricky because the problem is, well, let me put a little dot here. 3 plus 1/2 times negative 6/11. So, you know what, let me put the parentheses on the outside so it looks like doesn't look like it's subtracting. How about that? Now you are going to want, your brain's going to want to just go from left to right and say, oh, 3.5 times 6/11. But that would be incorrect because we need to follow the order of operations, which says multiply before we add. All right? So let's simplify this. 2 and so first, just look at this piece. 1/2 times negative 6/11. Is that going to be positive or negative? Negative. So I'm going to carry down the 3, but now I'm going to write a subtraction sign because we're going to end up subtracting because this is going to turn into a negative number. So 2 goes into itself once, and it goes into 6 3 times. And now I'm ignoring the 3. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 11 is 11. So now, instead of being 3 plus 1/2 times negative 6/11, our problem is 3 minus 3/11. Well, remember, anytime you subtract a fraction from a whole number, the whole number is always just one less. And the fraction piece is, what do we have to add to this numerator to get it to be the denominator? So 3 times what is 11? 8/11. This is similar to money. You are very good at money. If you have $4 and you take away a quarter, how much money do you have? Hopefully you said $3.75. Here that is in fractions. $4 take away a quarter. This is a quarter. Well, you know it's $3.75. Okay, one less. And then what do I add to 3 to make it be 4? I'm sorry, what do I add to 1 to make it be 4? 3. So this is something that some kids are having problems with. So if you're having problems with, tell me and we can do some examples. All right, that's it.